Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending an 8 o'clock lecture. During the test. You all right with this?
Yes.
Okay. I want to recapture where we are. In any application where relationships are an issue, a graph might be a very good idea to model the situation. Okay? As in your project to fraud. Yeah, fraud is also on the relationship between the call center operator and undirected graph. In an undirected graph, might be applicable. What kind of application would do better with another representation? Okay, it all depends on the number of edges and the number of nodes in the graph. Everyone's wrong. Okay, do you like my t-shirt? I really like my t-shirt. So let's put the t-shirt in front of the camera. Oh, you can't make it see. Okay, never mind. It excuses a lot of things. Coming back to the graphs, it depends on the application, what you want to do. The complexity always, the efficiency is memory versus time, as we are so used to the time-space trade-off. The number of nodes versus the number of edges. Is the graph sparse, or is the graph sparse, or is it dense? Right? So if the graph is dense, I do not want to pick one of the representations where I explicitly, my performance depends on the number of edges. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. But for all our examples, we fix on the adjacency list representation. That does not mean that that is always the best case. It's just one representation and we're working. Okay. Now, what do we want to do with a graph? What we want to do with a graph basically is I want to add edges. Why don't I want to add nodes? Because the nodes are by default assumed to be numbered 0, 2, and -1. So they're just there. Okay. Unless you work with symbol graphs, as in your project 2, and then you just double check how do I add graph nodes. So I want to add an edge because the nodes are already there by default. And then I want to traverse the graph. Yes? Because when I traverse the graph, as a graphic loop, when I traverse the graph, when I do a walk through the graph, I can get everything I want from the graph. So if I give you a traversal algorithm, you can just tweak it a little bit to say, for example, find the shortest path from one node to the other one. Or if I walk through the graph, I should be able to walk in such a way that I visit every node at least once. Or if I walk through the graph, I should be able to call that walking algorithm so that I can detect cycles, or I can detect connected components, and so on. So it's just your test client, basically, that's tweaked a little bit to walk in the right way, and then I can get all this other information about the graph. Does that make sense? Right. So we have two ways of walking through the graph. The one is depth first search, and that is the easy one, and it makes sense. Let's just have a picture. So depth first search would do something like this. I start at the beginning, and then I'm on page 542, and then I walk as deep as I can with the recursion before I bubble back. The other option, also on page 542, is a breadth first search, BFS. And with BFS, the idea is that I go through the adjacency list, all of the nodes of the adjacency list, before I start recursion deeper. So I do it in a certain sense level by level. So it's this spider web. And you can see the difference on page 542 between these two approaches. Okay? Yes?
So the end of the searching algorithms doesn't do like graphs as breadth first and depth first and course.
Wat jy sê nou, is dit die enigste twee?
Algorithms right searching.
The question is, are those the only two ways of doing it? Yes and no. Those are the two standard ways of doing it, but I think and they work for almost any application that I can think of. There might be a very particular type of application where you want to write some variant of this. And the mental idea is I go down level by level, or I go deep. I mean, any other thing that I can think of with an adjacency list just doesn't make sense. I either do the first one, go first, all the way and bubble, or I do all of them, either horizontally or vertically. There may be variants later, and especially for certain types of specialized graphs, but these two algorithms capture the essence of how do I want to walk through the graph. Okay? Same complexity. So it depends on your application which one you choose. Okay. Right. As we go through graphs and the apps that might need specific inputs, there are things that come about. And if you are a computer science major, I would strongly suggest that you try to do graph theory as a subject somewhere. It is so closely linked to what we do every day. And if you have more than applied maths offers graph theory in the 4th year, so it's a lovely course. Okay? But we need to know about some of the mathematical properties of graphs, because that can help us to write better algorithms, faster algorithms. Okay. So the first thing we want to know about is connected components. A connected component means I have a subgraph, and from any node in that subgraph I can reach all the other nodes. If there's a node I cannot reach, then it means it's not connected to this graph, so it's in a different component. So mathematically speaking, it's important sometimes to check whether my graph is connected before I start my algorithm. Because if my graph is not connected, my algorithm may bomb out. So most of the algorithms we use, we assume that we have connected. It is always also sometimes interesting from the application point of view to know how many connected components we have and how many nodes are in each component. So here's a very interesting thing. My research area is automata theory, modeling of computer systems in an abstract way. Trying to make a model as small as possible. Okay. Yes, see, there's no hand quote. Okay. And there's this one problem I had with one of my PhD students, which says, suppose I have a graph with how many nodes, let's say 3. And what I want to know, so this is a fully connected graph of self-loops. And the question that came about in a theoretical sense was the following. I was interested in cycles because cycles buggered up my model. So I needed to know that every cycle is traversed only once. What do I mean by a cycle? 2 is a cycle. 2, 1, 2 is a cycle. Yes, because we did that this time. So I can have 2, 2, I can have 1, 1, I can have 3, 3, I can have 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2. But what I wanted to avoid was repeating cycles. So I didn't want things like 2, 2, 2. Because this repeats the cycle 2, 2 and 2, 2. You see that? Yes. So in a certain sense, these are nested cycles. And then my question became, for the size of the model, what is the maximum length of cycles that I can write down next to each other with this property? I don't have nested cycles, I don't repeat any cycles. Fascinating. And I've worked with that together with Jaco Geldenis for 6 months, solidly, and we almost had an answer, but never you mind. But one of the essential things we modeled. I started out with a graph, but then I modeled the cycle graph, and I wanted to find an Eulerian cycle within the graph, which means it's a cycle that covers all the edges exactly once. And one of the essential parts was, what are my connected components and how many nodes are in each? Okay, so this seems somewhat theoretical, but it has a practical application. Somewhere. There's a practical application, and I had to bubble back through the theory, coming back to connected components. Ignore this is just what it is. Okay, so what is connected component? All the nodes are connected with each other. So then we get the algorithms that can do these things. I can use a depth-first search to find the connected components in the graph. So how do we do it? Well, we do the normal. Mark the nodes in a depth-first search as I go through. But then I have this extra data structure called ID, and that identifies the node from which I started searching. Yes? So clearly, if I start at 0, then I must mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 also with zeros. Yes, because they are in the same connected component. And then I continue, and then I will mark 7 and 8 with a depth-first search, and they'll be connected to 1. And 9, 10, 11, 12 will also be connected to each other, but not to 0 or not to 7, 8. So I end up with this kind of ID array, which tells me I now visited all the elements in my graph, and all the zeros is in one connected component, all the ones is in the other, and all the twos in the other. Okay? So you use the depth-first search to answer all sorts of questions. Okay? Simple graphs, please read in your own review. There's an algorithm application. That's not many. A couple of years ago, everybody used to use Facebook. And this idea of social networks. Okay. So I'm connected to Yanni, and Yanni is connected to Sunny, and therefore I'm not friends with Sunny, but Facebook will come up and ask me, don't you want to befriend Sunny? Yes. Because Sunny is a friend of Yanni, and so on. And then you build the social network, the graph of everybody who is friends with everybody else. And if I'm a friend of Yanni, and Yanni is a friend of Sunny, then my degree of separation between myself and Sunny is 2. Yes, because we're not directly related, we're one part. This can become very interesting. You know that social networks is a huge application area. Yeah? So there's lots of places where that is used to humor you, or to amuse myself. I want to show you something else. Oh, it's not here. Okay, well, let's do it. The book gives the example of movies. And they say they use Kevin Bacon. I don't know why, because I don't like him, but anyway, they do. Well, I'm seeing, but he doesn't make. So Kevin Bacon is, to their minds, a well-known actor. And then they say, well, everybody who was in a movie with Kevin Bacon has a degree of separation of 1 from Kevin Bacon. Now they want to know, sure, what's the degree of separation between Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn? Okay? So I'm not really into actors. I watch the movies, but I can never remember their names. But what we do in the academic world, and this is for anybody who is doing maths and computer science, you have to read up on somebody called Paul Ross. He was an absolutely famous mathematician. Fascinating person. But be it as it may, there's this little game that people play in the academic world, which is called your Erdős number. Right? So to humor you, I am going to use Jaco's name. Geldenhuis here, and I'm going to ask, what is Jaco's Erdős number? Huh? Search. Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah. Sorry, that was Jaco. Okay, Jaco Geldenhuis and Paul Erdős. There we go. Jaco's Erdős number is 4 because he published with Antti Valmari. He's from a Finnish university where Jaco did his PhD. Antti published with that person, whoever that is. He published with Jeffrey Shalit, who is another famous automata theorist, and Shalit published with Erdős. Okay? Which is cool. Incidentally, my number is 3, so wait. Okay. It's I have to say that somewhere. Okay, so look at degree of separation. It's not difficult processing. Why does this come up in graph theory and graph algorithms? Well, it's because it's social network analysis. And that is something that is very relevant today in terms of applications for many companies, even also in companies like fraud and so on. So degree of separation, not difficult. It's a humorous application in the way I presented it, but it's actually very serious and very useful. Suppose you want to do, even for what I grew up in a police state, but suppose you have to get a security clearance. I get cold when I say that. But okay, then whoever they may be, will actually run relationship analysis on you, on how many people. Okay, let's use America. That's nicer. So you want to get a visa for America, they check who you know. They throw Facebook, they throw all public information, they throw all police records that they might have, and they make a relationship graph for you. And in the Trump administration, lo and behold, if you even know somebody who is a Muslim surname, then you won't get your visa. Okay? So these things are seriously used. I'm not paranoid. It's just true. Okay. Let me not talk about it. Okay. How did I get here? Let's do directed graph. That's much nicer. Okay. You know, if your brother was part of the singing process once, protest. Once, forget about getting government persons, that's the deal. Okay, things like that. So that's all part of social connections. Well, the Stasi in Eastern Germany, these things are used the world over. Okay, we finished undirected graphs. So what happened with undirected graphs? I had a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, but I did not have a directed relationship. Parent-child is a directed relationship. Okay, so will our algorithms still work for directed relationships? So let's see. Wait. I have to say that finding the shortest path is extremely important. Yes. And which algorithm automatically gives us the shortest path between two nodes? And we had a whole discussion about that yesterday. But now, if I have a directed graph, will my algorithm still work or not? Directed graph, I have arrows instead of lines. Okay, all the other things still hold. The only difference in my representation is that if I have a directed graph, then my relationship is not symmetrical, right? So I only store E edges, not two E edges. Remember with the undirected graph, I basically had, I store 0 goes to 5 and 5 goes to 0. Now I only store the direction, so I store it once. And then we do exactly the same thing, only we follow the direction. I have my adjacency list, all my algorithms just this. Okay. There are that come up. The first one is reachability. In the libraries available for this course, the Princeton libraries, DFS clearly is only for undirected, and then directed graphs, you have to say it's the directed one. Otherwise, the algorithm assumes it looks good. Okay. Reachability is very easy. Can I reach this node from that one? Whereas in an undirected graph, it might be possible. We now cannot go against the direction of the arrows, right? So is 2 reachable from 0? Well, I can go this way, that way to reach 2. But although 0 and 2 are directly linked, I cannot go that way because it's against the direction of the arrow. Okay? So reachability, I found one yesterday. Where the hell was it? Look at some of them. Is 3 reachable from this one? Is 1 reachable from 0? Yes. Is 0 reachable from 1? No. Yeah, you cannot go against the direction of the arrow. So reachability is a whole issue of a different proportion in directed graphs. Can you do a DFS following your adjacency list and find the answer. Yeah. Oh, here were the examples. But the point where I wanted to come up with is we've talked a lot about Java garbage collection, and I thought this was such a nice application. Reachability in directed graphs. So consider your memory. You know how garbage collection works. Was this little magic wand, and things just disappear if I don't use them anymore. But actually, it's as easy as this. The operating system has, let's call it the operating system. The operating system has a map of all the memory that your user process is using. So it can look through your memory. And then it can see what memory is being used. And it can draw a graph. It can make a graph. Everything that is being used is put in a list, and then I can follow to every other memory place that is being used. So both the set of white and gray nodes is all the memory that you've put something into. Yes. And clearly it must be known. You put something there, so it's not zero, so it's, you put it there. Okay? Every time you declare a variable, you get an extra node into this graph of your memory usage. And then when the Java wants to do, when garbage collection happens in the Java virtual machine, then what happens is this graph is considered, and I do a reachability analysis from every node. Yes. And if there are any nodes that I cannot reach, then I take them away, because clearly they not be using. Voila! Isn't this beautiful? Yeah. So now garbage collection makes sense. And it's simply because we can model the problem as a directed graph. Okay. So now the JVM will take away all these gray nodes. They cannot be reached, and therefore I can get rid of them. As easy as pie. That's garbage collection. Okay, so let's come to cycles. If a graph becomes a bit larger, it's difficult to see cycles in a directed graph because you actually have to follow the arrows. Can I get from there back to there? I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky puzzle. You can't see it immediately. So one of the major applications, laatste, 8:30. Ja, nog 5. Scheduling is a serious application in computer science. For example, if you get tired of developing, you can become a project manager, and then you have to schedule jobs. So project management is an issue which we never cover because we're serious developers, but it's there. More importantly, low level, the operating system has to schedule according to some priority. Yeah, the moment you have more than one task running on a machine with only a few cores, you always have more processes and cores, so you have to schedule them. Okay, so this is a relevant thing, and next semester when we do operating systems, this will come. Okay. So how do I schedule? Well, and the silly example in the book is I have too many tests, so how do I schedule what I must learn in tests? Okay, of course, the answer is always computer science, and then you carry on from there, but never mind. I actually divided computer science into smaller topics. Okay. You can also see this as your Venus grades. Yeah, if I miss one here, what must I complete before I can get to the next one, and so on. Model it as a graph. And then I want to know, is it even possible to do this? Yes? Because if in my scheduling some way, I have the prerequisite that I have to do this before I do that. And then another prerequisite that says, I have to do this before I do that. Yeah. A must come before B and B must come before A is clearly impossible. So if I model as a graph, I must make sure that there are no cycles in the graph. So firstly, I must have an algorithm that figures out, if I give it a graph which models a huge, large process, are there any cycles in the graph? Because if there are cycles, then clearly I can't share. Where two elements are in a relationship, A goes to B if A must happen before B, if A is high priority. Okay? So I must be able to find cycles, and what I want to do, I need to want to look. Wat was het nou? Dis weg, ek het gisterand op my e-book gekyk, nou ek het laat sê nie dieselfde. Never mind. Okay. So what we want to do is first we want to detect if there is a cycle. Now, how can I detect whether there's a cycle using depth first search? I think about reachability and I feed my depth first search algorithm. That always starts with a certain node, yes? Say V. So I do a depth first search starting from V, and I keep an extra node to check whether, an extra argument to check whether I can go from V to V. Is there a path from V to V? If so, I'm a cycle. Simple as that. Okay, so it's reachability. Can I reach V from V? En dan sta ik om je mij niet vroeg. Dus maar net vroeg op het onderwerp. Oh, thank you very much. Since this is in an undirected graph, it would have been both ways. In a directed graph, if I can reach V from V, with a given path, it doesn't necessarily mean that I can reverse the path, no. But V is the same thing, so therefore I can reach V from V, but I need to use the same path and the same direction. Okay. So what we are going to do is, firstly, we check whether we have a cycle. If we don't have a cycle, and that is simply reachability analysis, then I have something called an acyclic graph. Yeah. And if I'm working with a directed graph, I have a directed acyclic graph, also known as a DAG. And DAG is a directed acyclic graph, And if I have a directed acyclic graph, it means, because I don't have a cycle there, there's never the situation that A must be before B and B must be before A. And DAGs are important in modeling because there are some things that you can model using a DAG, but it won't work if you have cycles. So the first thing we want to do, there's a thing called topological sorting. So if you give me a graph and I want to schedule my processes in the graph, the first thing I have to do is check is this a DAG? If it's not a DAG, I throw my hands in the air and say, sorry, can't share. And if it is a DAG, then I can attempt to do so-called topological search. Okay? And that simply means that I'm going to walk through that graph, but the point is, where do I start? Really? That depends on the application. I start with the node with the, which is most important, with the highest priority, and then I start to lay out the rest of the nodes in a linear fashion. Now note that it won't be a single line going down, because I know 7 must come before 6, but 0 must also come before 6, and 2 must come before 0, and so on. So you get this sort of spaghetti that's nicely laid out with the node levels. If there were a cycle, clearly this would not be possible. For scheduling, inheritance in Java classes, spreadsheets, symbolic links. Do you know about symbolic links in Linux? Well, you see, read it up. Homework, that will be in the text. Okay. So, let's see how we can do it. Let's just first have a look at an example. This is an example of a directed cycle. Of a cycle in a directed graph, because 3 goes to 5, 5 goes to 4, 4 goes to 3. I'm on page 577. And how do I use my H2? Remember that I just sort of skipped over H2 when we did the breadth first search. Make sure that you understand where it comes from. Now we use this to make sure, to check whether we have a cycle. Yes. Because if we keep, when we follow a path, listen carefully, in a directed graph, doing a depth first search, I mark my nodes as I encounter them, and then I mark them. If I can find a link to a node that is already marked, what do I have? Cycle. Immediately. So it's as easy as that. Finding the cycle simply means I mark my node as I do my depth first search, and the moment I find a link to a node that's already marked out the cycle. Easy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Right? And now, a digraph has a topological order. What does it mean to have a topological order? It means it can be shared. So a digraph has a topological order if and only if it's a diagram. I'm trying to relate this back to project 2, but nothing's happening there. Topological sort, in a certain sense, if you do scheduling, you want to sort your nodes in a certain order so that the highest priority is at the top, the next highest priority is the next one, and so on. Yes? 8 is the most important one over here on page 575. 8 has the highest priority. You have to pass on mass, otherwise you cannot continue with any of them. This is mass 1. Yes. I get no longer. Since you're here 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, I guess you all pass mass 1. But in the BSc curriculum at Stellenbosch, if you don't pass mass 144, you can continue with almost no other subject in the secondary. And then the next highest priority is clearly computer science. So you have to pass that, because if you get good marks in that, in spite of having failed mass 144, we give you special permission to at least continue with computer science, and so on. So what I am actually doing in a topological sort is I look at the priorities and I want to sort the graph in terms of the priorities associated with each. Does that make sense? And I can now sort doing a depth first search through my directed graph as long as the graph is adapted. Because you cannot sort things, two things, if they are both less than and greater than something else. A is less than B and B is less than A, then you can't sort. Okay. Right, so the code to find the cycle is very easy, as we described. And now comes the topological sort. Okay. The first thing we do with the topological sort, we double check if I have a cycle. Yes. So if there is no cycle, if not cycle finder has a cycle, then I can start doing my depth first search. But what happens in the depth first search is this, they use this thing called reversed post order. And it's simply the way they record the order in which the nodes are in. Remember, in a binary tree, I can go in order, post order, pre-order, reversal. So what I, in a certain sense, want to do, I want to do a depth first search with a post-order reversal. The order in which I write down my nodes will be post-order in order to give me the correct sort. The code is intricate. I'm not going to go through it. If there is a request before test 4 that we look at this again, I'll go through the code, otherwise this is useless. You keep queues and you keep auxiliary data structures to record the nodes as you go through the graph. But it's a straight depth first search. It's just the way you remember where I was that gives you the reverse. And once you have the reverse post order, you actually get, if you look at this is the reverse post order. Okay. Thumbs up and hand waving. How this works is, intuitively, I get a graph, I do a depth first search, I record the nodes that I visit, and then I read this from the back, and that gives me my reverse post order. Thumbs up and wave. Just double check how it works. We push stuff on an auxiliary queue, but that's the idea. Right. So now you can actually use graphs and depth search to even do sorting. Scheduling is a really, really interesting problem. How many of you are doing operations research? Yeah. You should do scheduling problems there as well, to my knowledge. Years ago, we did that. Strong connectivity in diagrams. From a theoretical point of view, this is important, but we're not going to cover it in this course. We are also not going to look at this unmentionable. It's Priapara, name of an algorithm. If you're interested, have a look at it. How many of you are doing or starting to get involved in programming competitions? Oh, yes, you have to contact Steve Gruen. We have lots of programming competitions. The earlier you start, the better. It's great fun. People fly you up to Joburg and you sit there for the day, having to wait. So contact Steve Gruen, send him an email about competitions. Normally they form teams. You have to be a team, at least 3 or 4 people in the team, but it's great fun. And you learn a lot. But where I'm coming from is in those competitions, usually very nice to actually know about these algorithms. The other important thing things that you do individually and which is not sort of organized by the department is the Google Cojam. How many of you registered? Yeah. So please. Google Cojam, it's a competition where they give you just some open problems. And for a while, it's been very popular in this department to give that as practical tests. But they're a bit too difficult. People complain about them. Everybody always stop that. But it's a team. If you're not a very good programmer, just do it. You don't have to tell anybody if you fail. Right? You do it all on your own self. And you register, and then you have 24 hours for the preliminary rounds. You have 24 hours from the time you start to the time you finish. There are lots of examples of previous Cojam questions, so you can have a look at what they do. And from the preliminary, it's a regional thing. Right? And Stellenbosch has the very nice tradition that we typically get one person per year who goes to the regionals or the world finals. So try it out. You're getting a very good programming education. And if you're a good programmer, you can compete with world's best. It's up there. We even have with the ACM competition, which is a formal thing that Steve organizes. Last few years ago, we had a team going to America for that, all at Spencer's Bay. So it's way cool, get involved, you learn a lot. Okay? So for the rest of this chapter, skip. Yes. So that ends directed graphs. And on Monday, we'll start with the so-called minimum spanning trees. But this ends directed graphs basically funds what you have to know about directed graphs is reachability, cycle detection, and the topological sort. Okay? And get involved in these in the Google Cojam. It's fun, it's great fun. Even if you get nothing right, you would have learned about how to tackle programming. Okay. Cool. I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.